This is the Harry Loomis Show.
Welcome back to the Harry Loomis Show on this Monday, October 21st. It is 12:33 in the afternoon here on the East Coast. We are one day removed from Joey Logano winning in Las Vegas by some miracle, and now he is advancing to the championship four. The even year streak for Joey Logano continues after a pretty dismal season that if it weren't for whatever the heck that finish at Nashville was, where Logano came out ahead. If that race didn't play out like that, Logano wouldn't have even been in the playoffs to begin with, and now he will race for his third career NASCAR Cup Series championship here in 3 weeks at Phoenix. A ridiculous turnaround from a guy that we all thought got eliminated in the second round. Was the first driver out before Alex Bowman got disqualified. There was a lot of talk about whether or not they were going to appeal. Hendrick's a smart team. If the weight was simply lost, if they could prove that the weight was simply lost by Bowman going up the rumble strips, and that's where they lost those 17 pounds, they would have appealed that. But seeing that they didn't, clearly there was something else going on behind the scenes. Hendrick's too smart of a team, so Logano is the benefactor. And when you're given new life, this is what you have to do. And I said, prefacing that little monologue, that Logano won by some stretch of the imagination. In some aspects, yes, Logano, in all likelihood, should not have won this race. He even admitted he was not the best car today. Christopher Bell was the best car by a mile. But him and Paul Wolfe worked the strategy to absolute perfection. And not to take anything away from Logano either. Their average running position on the day was 7th. They were in the top 10, even running as high as 3rd for a large majority of this race, in the thick of things, and found themselves in the right position, passing Daniel Suarez with about 6 laps to go to win the race. To break down what happened, Bell, like I said, was in complete control of the race for a long stretch. The race ended on a 69 green flag run, 69 lap green flag run, and Bell pitted on lap 229 with, what's that math, 38 laps to go. It didn't appear that anybody that stayed out in that time was going to be able to make their fuel last. That's why Bell pit. That's why Bowman pit before him. That's why William Byron pit as well. They were the top 3 guys. And it ended up the top 3 were Daniel Suarez in the lead, Logano second, Denny Hamlin third. Logano and Hamlin are obviously on the outside looking in right now, trying to make the championship four. They needed to pull a Hail Mary. This is the only shot of them really making up some points, because they weren't, because guys like Logano, or because guys like Bell, because guys like Larson, guys like Byron were beating them all day long. You didn't expect it to work though. You expected a caution to come out before you expect them to make it. Bell was flying around the track, but Steve Letarte even said it was going to take a couple of passes. It was a matter of just a few passes for Bell to either get there or not. Adam Stevens told Bell that it was going to be the pace he was going, he was going to make it or get there in about 3 to 4 laps. Obviously, came up 0.6 of a second short, and there were a couple key passes. John Hunter Nemechek was one where Bell did lose a little bit of time. I think Michael McDowell might have been another, trying to get back to him. He lost some momentum, lost some time on just those couple key moments, and that completely tanked the rest of the race. And what also helped Logano was once he got around Daniel Suarez, who was in his rearview mirror, but Ryan Blaney, his teammate, who was multiple laps down after being in a wreck earlier in the day. Even if Bell had another lap or two, Blaney was not going to give Bell any sort of benefit of the doubt, any sort of help. Bell had his back against the wall at that point. Logano did everything he needed to do, stretched the field perfectly, won the race, and give credit to Daniel Suarez too. I didn't think he was going to be able to make it either. He ended up finishing 3rd, 57 laps, led one of his best runs of the season in every aspect, so credit where it's due. Hamlin ended up 8th. John Hunter Nemechek also stayed out. He ended up with a 9th place finish, so a pretty good finish for Legacy Motor Club as a whole. But the question has to be asked for Christopher Bell and Adam Stevens. Was it a mistake to come in pit? Because seeing how it worked out, Logano stayed out, won the race. Bell was way ahead of them, had the best car by a mile. So was it a mistake? I would argue no. No one expected it to work out. I don't think you criticize Adam Stevens for the call. Could Christopher Bell done anything differently in the car? I don't know. I think you just give credit where it's due to Joey Logano in particular for playing the game perfectly. They were on different strategies. They had different goals in mind. Bell, obviously, if you can win this race, go to the championship four, that's huge. One less thing you have to worry about. But he's got a point cushion that Logano does not have. He did not need to push the issue there, even if it cost him a win. Obviously, it's frustrating. I was making this point to some people yesterday, but Bell and the 20 team, they could easily have 7 or so wins this year. They've lost a lot of races that they could have won. Just going through the list. They could have won in St. Louis the week after Charlotte. Engine started to let go. He ended up finishing seventh. The week after he won Loudon, he had a really good car at Nashville, led 131 laps, and came in a pit, was trying to make his way back up the field, ended up wrecking, lost the race that way. Richmond had the best car by a mile as well. Sped on pit road, one of the last pit stops, was relegated to a sixth place finish. Kansas had a really good car, had some issues at the end of the last two stages. Who knows how the track position could have gone there. And obviously, you're talking ifs and buts, a lot of hypotheticals, but this isn't the first time that we've seen Bell and the team with race-winning potential not be able to get the job done for some reason. It's really frustrating to see, but at the same time, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, this team is running so well right now. They have 2 finishes outside of the top 10 since the Olympic break, and they were at Michigan where he wrecked, and at Watkins Glen, which is just a weird topsy-turvy race. Just since the Olympic break, listen to these finishes from Bell. You've got a 6th, that was Richmond, 35th at Michigan, 3rd at Daytona, 3rd at Darlington, 4th at Atlanta, 14th at Watkins Glen. Then the last 5 races, 5th, 7th, 6th, 2nd, and 2nd. Even as frustrating as it's been, this team right now might be the best team in all of NASCAR. The way that they are continuing to operate at a high level, regardless of tracks, I think without a shadow of a doubt, we are going to see Christopher Bell in the championship four. Right now, even just after one race, Christopher Bell has a 42-point advantage over Denny Hamlin for the final spot. We're going to a Homestead where he won it last year and a Martinsville where he won it in 2022. I think it's a pretty sure thing that we're going to see Christopher Bell in the championship four, running for the 3rd year in a row, trying to win a championship. This team is running on all cylinders right now. I don't see any reason, as frustrating as these couple races have been, why they can't get it done. Looking at the other playoff drivers, we already mentioned Logano and Bell, obviously. Denny Hamlin finished 8th. He was a non-factor all day long. 8th was about the best he could have done. I think yesterday was a really, really big missed opportunity for the 11 team. William Byron came home 4th. A really clean, solid day for the 24 team. Exactly what they needed. They've been quietly just getting the job done the past few weeks. They haven't won since Martinsville back in the spring, but they're doing what they need to do right now. Kyle Larson had a really rough start to this race, had an issue after the first stage, lost the lap of the pit road problem. Rallied to finish 11th, which for Kyle Larson at a 1.5-mile track is pretty bad, but given all the circumstances, you can live with that. Other 3 drivers, Ryan Blaney, Chase Elliott, Tyler Reddick, were all taken out in that crash on lap 89, where Tyler Reddick ended up getting upside down. Thankfully, everyone was okay. But Reddick ended up 35th despite winning the first stage. Chase Elliott, 33rd. Ryan Blaney was 32nd, and a really rough weekend overall for Ryan Blaney. He had a crash in practice, hammered the wall driver's side, seemed like he was in a little bit of pain. He was talking after the race saying he needs some Advil. Hope he's doing all right. He's had some really brutal hits throughout the season, really the last couple of years. I remember Nashville and Daytona back in 2023 as well. Hope he's doing all right. He said, no questions about it. He's going to be at the next race, but I hope he has an easy week and he does not need to keep taking those hard hits. But back to Joey Logano a little bit. Once again, you cannot talk enough about how good in the playoffs Logano and Paul Wolfe are. Logano, I would argue, is the best driver in the Chase playoff format besides Jimmy Johnson, and the fact that he always steps up when he needs to. The even year thing, I don't think it's a fluke. Obviously, he's had some down years, but the fact that for as bad as we talked about the 22 team was running this year, the fact that they are still going to race for a championship says everything you need to know about Roger Penske, Joey Logano, Paul Wolfe, and that entire 22 operation. They do such a good job, and you really have to give credit to Logano too, because the last 3 times he's made the championship four, not even including this one, they won the first race of the round of 8. Having that advantage where you have 3 weeks now where all your focus is on the Phoenix car is crucial. He's 2 out of 3 in those situations. Didn't win in 2020, but got the win in 2018 and in 2022. Do not take for granted that Logano is a serious, serious contender in this thing. Everyone's going to talk about the fact that Logano is around 15th in points, hasn't been good all year long, only has 6 top 5 finishes. Say what you want about the playoffs. I'm not a fan of the playoffs, but you have to play the game the way it's set up. You can't change the rules. You have to play within the rules, and Logano does that to a T. Just looking at some of the past champions, just since this format started, so much of this goes into, are you hot at the right time of the year? Kevin Harvick in 2014 won Phoenix, to get into Homestead, won that race. He had 2 wins in a row to lock up the championship. Kyle Busch is an outlier. In 2015, his last win was at Indianapolis, race 20 of the year. 2019, his last win was Pocono, 14th race of the year before winning the championship race in both of those years. He's really the only exception. Jimmy Johnson won in the round of 8. Martin Truex Jr. won 2 races in the round of 12 in 2017. Logano, like I said, won the first race in the round of 8. Chase Elliott won Martinsville to get into Phoenix. Kyle Larson won 2 races in the round of 8. Logano, same thing. Ryan Blaney won the race, won at Martinsville to get into the championship, was the best of the championship 4, ended up winning the championship. If you want to know who won that race, Ross Chastain was a 19-race winless streak. But so much of this it just depends on how hot are you at the right time of the season. And Logano, they've hit their stride. They're doing a really good job right now. Moving on, the next race is going to be at Homestead. It's going to be one of the best races of the year. I absolutely love Homestead. There's a lot of drivers with a lot on the line. Tyler Reddick put himself in a hole. We know what he can do at Homestead. Kyle Larson is obviously the man at Homestead. Denny Hamlin's got 2 wins as well. Chase Elliott's had some good runs there in the past. There's really not a championship 4 or a round of 8 driver that hasn't had some pretty good moments or hasn't had some pretty good runs at Homestead, Miami. My pick for the race is going to be William Byron. Byron's run really well here in all 3 series. Like I said, won the truck race in 2016, won the championship in the Xfinity Series in 2018, got a second career cup win here in 2021, had a really good finish last year as well. I think he finished second. This seems due for a win. I think William Byron and Rudy Fiegel are going to get back to victory lane, and the 24 team will be back racing for a championship come Phoenix. So that is my thoughts for this weekend at Vegas. A really, really interesting race. Props once again to Joey Logano, just doing an unreal job. This playoff season, it's really heating up right now. There's still a lot that we don't know what's going to happen. So keep watching. We'll try to figure all that out together. Thank you guys once again. We'll talk again soon.
This is the Harry Loomis Show.